All right, guys. So let's just take a moment, and you guys know if you've been to my classes or in my courses before that we always start with some warming hands. So we're gonna take both of our hands up and just start to rub them together. Feeling the warmth between our palms. Feeling the energy between our fingers. And taking a pause here and just lightly separating the hands. Just feeling that energy, the pull, the push, the friction. Calming it all down as we just gently separate the hands for just a moment here. Feeling those tingles. And then going in again, rubbing the hands together. And as we rub the hands together, just noticing the sensation between the palms, but also maybe the sensation of sitting where you currently are. Feeling if the air is cool around your body and maybe warm in between your palms, just beginning to orient the senses into this space. Continue to rub the palms together and another deep breath in. Release. Pausing here, slowing down, one hand on the belly, one hand over the heart. And just notice what you notice in your body. Wherever your breath is, just begin to pull it a little deeper. Beginning to slow everything down. I want to thank you all for being here, and I also want to thank all of the ancestors that have brought us to this point. I want to thank every single Ori that is in this space and that maybe will watch this at another time as well. I want to salute all of our higher selves, all of the divinity, all of the ashe, all of the beautiful energy within each and every one of us. A reminder that we are already whole. Reminder that there is nothing that needs to be fixed. Reminder that you have arrived in your fullness in this space, and in this space you are safe. And in this body you are safe. Deep breath into the belly. Release it all out. Deep breath into the heart. Release it all out. And now, before we get started with any of our journeying today, I want to just give you a chance to set an intention. Maybe there's something specific that you'd like to call forth today. Giving you a second here, on this beautiful day, to arrive on your intention. I'd like to offer up a collective intention as well of remembrance, of remembering our alignment that's already here, remembering our destiny, and remembering our sovereignty. Deep breath in to seal the intention. Release. Let your hands go, let your shoulders go. Let any tension that you may have carried into this space, let it go for just a moment here. Drop into the body. Now, if you have your glass of water and your plant with you, we're just going to take a second. And of course, if you don't have a second to get it, that's completely fine. If you'd like to participate, you can as well. But just taking a moment and thanking the ancestors who have guided us here. Thank you to the ancestors who knew power and sovereignty. And with every line that we say out loud, we're pouring a little bit more of that water. Thank you to the ancestors who knew compassion, courage. Thank you to the ancestors who guide us in love. Thank you to the ancestors who continue to protect us, guide us, and provide for us. Thank you to the ancestors who knew how to create something out of nothing, who knew they were so powerful and so sovereign, who resisted, who rebelled, who were loud, who were boisterous, but also those of our ancestors who were revolutionary. May those revolutionary traits continue to be poured into us. May we continue to remember how revolutionary our lineages actually are. May we continue to remember how revolutionary our beingness naturally is. May we continue to remember who we are. And thank you to the ancestors who continually remind us through signs, through signals, through clues, through dreams, through all these beautiful ways that our ancestors speak to us. Thank you to the ancestors who continue to guide us. Thank you to the ancestors who continue to speak to us. Thank you to the ancestors who continue to lead us, provide for us, and protect us. Ashe. Beautiful. Beautiful. So today, obviously you guys know we're here for rebellion. Rebellion, the objective of today is to reclaim our body memory. The objective of today is to reframe and release shame as a form of social control. The objective of today is also to release self-judgment and self-resentment and understand where these things actually come from. And when we think about decolonial shadow work, what we're actually speaking about here is the ability to not fix, but to remember, the ability to awaken this body memory that's always existed within us, and to know that there's nothing more that needs to be done but to come home to this body, but to come home to our natural self, to come home to who we always have been, remembering that all these pieces of shame and everything else that may exist in the mind, a lot of these things are implants. So we're going to be really talking about that today. And as you guys can see, I'm fighting with the light a little bit, but the light will move, and so we'll be okay. So we're actually going to start with a little bit of an exercise to begin to reclaim this body memory. And this exercise is simple. It's just called I remember. I remember. And I wasn't going to include this in the workshop today, but when I was doing my rituals and my things with my ancestors this morning, they said, girl, you better include this. What are you doing? So we're going to do it today. So I just want you to just get really comfortable. I'm using my shaman drum in just a moment here. But I want you to just start with repeating after me. I remember. I remember. I remember. Saying that out loud, how does it feel? I remember. I remember. I remember. Right? Just beginning to close the eyes for a second and just saying the words, I remember. I remember. I remember. And now shifting into this space of remembering something that you love, maybe something that you love to do, maybe something that makes you feel fully and completely and totally yourself. For me, it's I remember walking barefoot in the forest behind my house in central Louisiana, looking for fairies when I was a kid. What's something that you remember doing that you love that made you feel completely like yourself? I remember. I remember playing with the goats in the backyard, I remember swimming in the ocean in Trinidad with my family. Saying that out loud, what is something that you love that makes you feel completely like yourself? Say that out loud. I remember. Maybe it's in the childhood. And now beginning to recall different aspects of ourselves. Maybe aspects that deeply still are begging to be expressed. For me, I remember being so inquisitive, asking way too many questions. Feel free to put your remembrances in the chat as well. What are different things that you can remember doing or being that really felt like you? I remember. I remember expressing myself through song and dance. I remember dancing and singing in my room with a flashlight as my mic. I remember riding my bicycle down steep hills, feeling the wind in my face. Beautiful, guys. I remember rolling down the hill. Oh, I remember that too. I remember when I was a kid, I had this talent. I could look at a patch of four-leaf clovers and see all the four-leaf clovers. It was weird. It was almost like they were a different color. I remember catching lightning bugs in my grandmother's backyard. I remember making mud pies. Ashe. I remember thinking I could fly. Ashe. Maybe remember a few more. I remember family time with my siblings. I'm trying to read all these comments. You guys are moving fast. It's okay if you can't remember yet. It's okay. Just continue to practice that affirmation of I remember. Go slowly. There's no perfect answer. I remember being fearless, not worried about knowing or not knowing. Ashe. I remember making potions. I remember playing in the business with my cousins. Oh, beautiful, guys. Beautiful work. Now we're going to take a little bit of a shift here. And now we're going to shift into I remember. But this time we're shifting into something that you remember your family doing that felt natural to you. For me, it was catching catfish with my great-grandmother. I remember my grandpa saying his prayers with his rosary outside in the swing. I remember picking up pecans. Something that maybe you observed a family member do, or something that you remember that your family did that felt good, that felt safe. Just remembering any ancestors in our lineage that contributed positively. And just starting off with that same statement of I remember. I remember standing and jumping off my father's shoulders into the ocean. Ashe. I remember watching my mommy bake goods for Easter, excited to look the bowl. Ashe. I remember my mom making family meals. Ashe. I remember always being outside personally. I remember we always traveled. Ooh, beautiful. I remember baking cake with my mother. I remember my grandmother's garden. And just continuing to say this out loud. I remember sitting on the porch picking peas. So beautiful. And if you're having a hard time with this, it's okay. Don't push yourself, don't rush yourself. You may notice that different things come up for you. When I started working with the shaman drum, I started getting a lot of visions of past life experiences. Funny enough, I was fishing in a past life too. And so maybe there was different dreams as well that you can remember of past lives, of different things that have come up for you in your spiritual journey, and just saying that out loud as well. I remember the taste of Grammy's fresh zucchini bread at Christmas. Ashe. The memories are unfolding slowly. And now just taking a second, maybe pausing from writing and just allowing the drum to guide you back into your body. I remember feelings of safety. I'd be closing the eyes here, even if there were little moments of bliss. I remember connection. I remember love. I remember celebration. I remember. Ashe. And just taking a moment, continuing to keep those eyes closed. And just noticing the feelings in the body. All the things that may have come up, all the beautiful memories. All the times that we felt safe to fully be ourselves. All the times that we felt that warmth. Just noticing, remembering, noticing how the body feels. Reclaiming ancestral memory starts with establishing that safety within the body. Starts with establishing our connection with ourselves. And I know a lot of folks don't have good relationships with their family. I don't either. But family who we may not even know. Ancestors far, far, far down the line still speak through not only moments of intuition and wisdom, but also moments of connection, of safety. Intuition doesn't always just tell us what not to do, it tells us what to do, what to lean into. What is really natural for us, where our power lies. Our power lies in the things that come the most natural to us. Our inquisitiveness, our celebration of ourselves, the things that are naturally within us. Decolonial shadow work is about restoring the connection to the things that society has told us to dull or to quiet within ourselves. Deep breath in. Release. You can continue to keep your eyes closed and just hear what I'm about to say. The shadow work that we've all been taught has many times just pushed us to relive traumatic experiences without first establishing safety within the body. But one of the ways that we reclaim safety in the body and reclaim body memory is through storytelling. It's through coming back to this body. It's through remembering. It's through sharing the stories that we have about the beautiful times that maybe we've just had within ourselves, had alone, and also sharing the stories, the beautiful stories that we may have about the times where we felt safe with our families or our friends, or even our animal families and animal friends, right? And so one of the ways that we reclaim body memory is by retelling our stories of bliss, retelling our family stories of connection. And no, it's not all perfect, but in that space of remembrance, we stop rehearsing the trauma that has been implanted in us and in our lives. Let's take one more deep breath in. Release it all out. Now I'm going to ask you guys another question. You guys can feel free to open your eyes. Now that you've maybe brought up some of these memories, can you answer the question of who you were before other people told you you should be a certain way? Can you answer the question of what felt the most natural to you? Can you answer the question of when you reclaim safety within your body, what does your energy feel like? Again, there's no right or wrong answer, but just feel free to put that in the chat of who were you before other people told you who and what to be. Maybe some of those clues are within those remembrances. My energy feels like pure joy, beautiful. I was a free spirit, beautiful. Just naturally being, Ashe. Ashe, I was very loud, fierce, unstoppable, curious, inspired, relaxed, expansive, resilient, and vibrant. Who were you? Who are you? Embodied, Ashe. I was bossy. Oh, I love that. I was multidimensional. Fearless, inquisitive. Beautiful. When we remember who we are, this is what we're working to reunite with. There's no standard that we're trying to uphold of being a certain way, being triggerless, emotionless, all these different kind of things. We create that reconnection. That's what we're striving towards. We're striving towards that bossiness again, maybe. We're striving towards that fearlessness, that fierceness. We're striving towards that inquisitiveness. I got the message I was a dancer. I've just asked my mom and found out my great-grandma and great-grandfather were dancers and performers. Ashe. I was sensitive to energy, sensual, sovereign, carefree, fairy. That is what we're reuniting with. No one else's definition of healing or wholeness, that does not matter. We're reuniting with these aspects of ourselves that were pushed down and pushed away. Right? So sitting with that just for a second, what would it mean to be that again? What would it mean to be intuitive again, even more intuitive again? What would it mean to be bossy again? What would it mean to be confident again? Let's move into that space and just kind of notice what comes up. If we were to reclaim this right now, is there any resistance that we have towards reclaiming that? Is there any resistance or pushback that we feel from the mind, from the body, in reclaiming that? I would feel whole, Ashe. Not care what people think. Yes. Is there any resistance that comes up? I would receive hate. That's what the mind is telling us. No, beautiful, Tamara. No resistance worth holding on to. Exactly, beautiful. but just being mindful of what comes up. Because maybe it's coming up in the conscious mind, but in the moments that we really want to be in that fullness of ourselves, there is a thought that's lingering within the nervous system that's causing that tension. It feels like a dream, Ashe. I feel like she would do something intuitive like scream, but I don't feel like I could do that right now. Just noticing what comes up. We're not aiming to fix, we're aiming to observe here, right? And so all these different aspects of ourselves, we mute them, we make them less colorful, we step away from them, because throughout our childhood, our teenagehood, our adulthood, we are indoctrinated into the colonial gaze that says our productivity is our worth, that says our emotional restraint is our maturity, that says that assimilation is safety. And it also says that the fragmentation of our identity is survival. Maybe we're a completely different person when we're safe, when we're with friends, but then when we step into the public or step into work, we create a different version of ourselves because that's what it meant. That's what it means to survive in this space. And decolonial shadow work is stepping back into this reuniting, this reunion with all aspects of ourself, no longer fragmenting the identity, no longer splitting all these different aspects and versions of ourselves. And the anxiety that we feel is not only carefully curated by the system, but it's also a result of the tension that we feel within. When there's multiple different aspects of ourselves and we're kind of going back and forth of, should I say this or should I do this? But I want to scream, but I can't. It's the tension of the splitting of the psyche. And so what we're beginning to do today is mend that tension, is reunite these different aspects of ourselves and begin to undo the ways that colonization moves inside the nervous system. And we started that with a top-down process here, right? We're starting with the mind first, remembering, I remember, going into the body and beginning to observe the tension that may still come up. And so when colonization moves inside the nervous system, then shame and self-judgment and resentment, all these things just run on autopilot so much that we think it must have started here. I experience these feelings so often. Well, I must have created this. I must have birthed these feelings. But shame has always been an implant, right? So New Age shadow work also tries to force us to accept full responsibility for this shame. But decolonial shadow work allows us to shift into remembering that this shame was never ours to begin with. Decolonial shadow work aims to facilitate a reunion within, not force us to release something. Because again, the shame was never ours to hold. And so this class is called Rebellion because rebellion is resistance, remembering, and reawakening. Rebellion is the ability to remember all the aspects of us that we may have exiled in an attempt to survive in this system. So shame has always been an implant. And the way that we can begin to step into decolonial shadow work is through undoing internalized violence. So let's just take a moment. You guys know these classes, any class that I do is going to be very interactive. So I'm always going to be coming in and asking you to just share if you feel comfortable. But right now I want to ask you guys, when was the most recent time that you felt shame? When is the most recent time that you felt shame? Yes, exactly. We're going to be going a little bit more into that as well. A job interview. When I allow someone to take me back to emotions I healed from. And understanding too that there is no bad emotion. We're going to go into that in a little bit, but there is no bad emotion. This emotional hierarchy that we've learned as some emotions are good or bad, this is all an attempt to continue to perpetuate the shame that they've handed to us. a few minutes ago. Yeah. Oh God, tonight feeling less attracted because in my relationship, when I was angry, when my bank account gets low, when I let myself get caught up in my parents' dysregulation tactics. So the question here was, when is the most recent time that you felt shame? And just noticing again. We're not trying to go into this to clear it right now and go, 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 go. And there has to be some type of efficiency to this. It's noticing, it's observing, right? And then now asking the question, the first question here was, when is the first time, or the recent time, the most recent time that you felt shame? And now the next question here is, where did it come up in your body? Where do you feel this shame in your body? Where do you feel the shame in your body? In my stomach, stomach and throat? And just noticing it. My stomach, chest. You guys know I got my shoulder tattoos to say, okay, I'm not carrying no more shame on my shoulders no more. So I felt it a lot in my shoulders. Where do we feel the shame in your body? And if this feeling became a person, what would it look like and how would it speak to you? If this feeling of shame became a person, what would it look like and how would it speak to you? Old hag. Stomach, shoulders, neck. Yeah, no, completely understandable, James. Me, but meaner. Man with visible dark energy. Worm tongue, interesting. My mom. So now we're beginning to notice where this is coming up. My grandma, my parents. Yeah. And so if you have a pen and paper with you, just write down shame feels like. You can maybe put in wherever you feel it in your body. Maybe whatever comes up in your mind. What does shame feel like? Yeah. Sounds like an orange president. Old friends. Yeah, so just writing down shame feels like, just observing it, not aiming to push to release it. We're just observing it. Reminding ourselves that observation is purification. In the practice of observation, of observing something, we purify because we create more distance between us and that object. Right? What does it feel like? And now notice, and you guys can feel free to write this down or put it in the chat. Does this tone of voice, or does this shame thing, this person, does it sound parental? You guys have already kind of said that already. Or does it sound religious? How does it sound? What's the tone? Is it parental, religious, institutional, restricting, parentalistic, fearful? Sounds like a friend who's not a really good friend after all. Yeah, authoritative, judgy, exactly. Overcritical, forced and exhausted. Institutional, propaganda, scripting, exactly. Yes. And just noticing, what are some of the exact phrases that come up in this tone when it takes on form, when it starts to speak to you? What are some of the exact phrases that come up for you? Authoritative, yeah, overcritical. Right? Maybe the tone is authoritative and it says, ooh, you should have, yeah, or not good enough, or you need to do more. Just noticing that, maybe writing it down. You're supposed to know this. Yeah, exactly. And just noticing what pieces of those aspects of the dialogue that your shame is having with you, how is it relating your worth to your productivity? How is it relating your restraint to your maturity? Remember, going back to some of these aspects. How is it relating a simulation or being like everyone else to your safety? What is it doing here? False projections, deep disapproval, you're silly and ridiculous. Yeah. And now taking a second and asking, does this voice bring safety or does it bring compliance? Does this voice bring safety or does it bring submission? Does this voice bring safety or does it bring assimilation, obedience, submission? Yeah. Assimilation. Mistrust. Yeah. And so I want you to ask yourself, is this voice even mine? Yes or no, is this voice mine? Did I create this voice? Did this voice come from me? Yeah. Subordination, and it's not my voice. Can't trust yourself. Yeah. Came from my father. Yeah. And then notice where can we source the origin here? Where can we source the origin here? Now we've been able to create this personification of this voice. We've been able to create space between us and the voice. We've been able to identify the tone. Now, can we source it? Religion. My dad would always tell me I'm pronouncing things wrong when I was just playing with words. I love to pronounce things wrong. School. Where can we source this voice? My sister and my mother, yeah. And so we're going to go into a little bit of EFT as we're beginning to process this. So if you guys haven't done EFT, it's one of my favorite practices. One of my favorite practices. It's so good. So useful. We're going to take our hands here, and I'm going to guide you through this, of course, and only do what feels comfortable for you. And again, there's no perfect answer. There's no perfect way you should be saying anything. Just say what comes up, right? So we can take our two fingers, our two peace fingers, and we're just going to start to tap on the hands, slowly, gently. Just slowly and gently. And then we're going to continue to tap, but you can continue to follow me, or you can just tap wherever feels maybe tense or constricted. Maybe we're tapping gently on the chest. Maybe we're tapping around the jaw or on the temples. Now as we begin to tap, taking a deep breath into the belly. Release. Repeat after me. This shame voice sounds like, and fill in the blank on whatever it sounds like for you. This shame voice sounds like. This shame voice sounds like. And if you can, maybe even saying this shame voice sounds like and putting a name to it. Maybe it sounds like mom or dad or church, a pastor, a teacher that was really shitty to you. I've had so many of those. This shame voice sounds like. Say it out loud. And then repeat after me. I remember the first time I heard this voice was when. And fill in the blank. I remember the first time I heard this voice was when. Repeat after me. This voice sounds like, and fill in the blank. Repeat after me. This doesn't really sound like my voice. This shame voice doesn't sound like my voice. Because my true voice sounds like, and fill in the blank. Because my true voice sounds like. Now repeat after me. This shame voice is an implant. This shame voice was foreign. Continuing to tap gently on wherever areas of the body that may feel tension. Repeat after me. This shame voice was an implant that tried to keep me safe. Repeat after me. This shame voice was an implant that tried to keep me compliant. This shame voice was an implant that tried to keep me in line. Repeat after me. Thank you for protecting me. But I hold my power now. Thank you for protecting me. But I am moving into freedom now. Thank you for protecting me. But I am liberated now. Repeat after me. Shame is an implant. It did not start in this body. It is removable. It is not my true voice. Repeat after me. My shame just tried to control me. But I am safe now. But I am whole now. Repeat after me. This shame was only an implant, and I see it as the separate being that it is. I see it as the powerless being that it is. As you continue to tap, take a deep breath and pull it all the way to the bottom of the belly. As you continue to tap, let it out with any sounds that want to come out. Deep breath in. Let it out as loud as you can. Deep breath in. Release it. 2 more times. Make these the loudest breaths that you possibly can. Deep breath in. Let it go. 1 more time. Make this the loudest one that you possibly can. Deep breath in. Slowing everything down. Just closing the eyes for a moment. And lightly grazing the hands, havening touch here. This havening touch releases serotonin, oxytocin in the body. And just continuing to keep the eyes closed, gently noticing. As we're doing this havening touch, we are reestablishing connection with the body. As we're doing this havening touch, we're reestablishing connection with our own power over the colonial powers that try to dysregulate our nervous system. Deep breaths in and out. Whenever you're ready, allow your breaths, or allow your hands to fall back to your knees. Take a moment to reorient the body. Maybe taking a look around. Simply looking around, looking up, looking down, looking side to side helps to down-regulate amygdala activity, triggering rest and digest, rest and receive. Now completing what we were writing earlier, just for a moment here, just writing down shame feels authoritative, or shame feels parental. And ending whatever writing that you'd like to do right now with, it is an implant, that is not mine. It's an implant that is a form of control. Giving you guys 1 second here. Just write down anything that came up for you. Blue says what's coming up for me is that disempowering my shame feels carceral. Just taking a moment to write down anything that came up here. As you're writing down, you can continue to write down, but I'm just going to move through some very interesting ways that colonization seeps into the psyche, and just notice what came up for you, if this sounds familiar. There's 6 major ways that psychological colonization happens. The first way I touched a little bit on social media, which was internalized inferiority. This shows up as self-doubt, devaluing our ancestral knowledge, our body knowledge. And this process of chronic self-doubt is how we silence our own voice and silence what feels natural to us. The second way that this may come up is disconnection from the body. Right? So ignoring our body cues, dissociation, numbing, shame around emotion, shame around pleasure, shame around rest. Noticing how your shame voice maybe has adopted these things. This is further showing us that this is an implant that's been carefully curated to cultivate shame within you, but you did not plant this, it was given to you. Another way that psychological colonization happens is through shame conditioning. Feeling bad instead of allowing ourselves to feel the depth of our entire emotions. Self-policing our emotions. Fear of being seen as wrong or excessive or dangerous. Right? This shame keeps us in line as a means of power, of control, of regulating our own behavior. And it seeps into the nervous system by self-policing emotions. The fourth way that psychological colonization happens is through individualization of harm. This is my fault and I have to fix it. I'm the reason why this is happening to me. Pathologizing our own survival responses and an over-responsibility for systemic issues. The next aspect of this is fragmentation of identity. This leaves us feeling divided and inauthentic. Also, that fear of being seen comes up because we've hidden a different aspect or fragment of our own identity for so long. And one of the last aspects of psychological colonization that I've studied is suppression of rage and grief, of course. This also looks like premature forgiveness. Just wanting to get to some resolution without feeling every emotion in between those two spaces. Emotional numbness. So from these different points here, internalized inferiority, disconnection from the body, shame conditioning, can we see even more that this shame aspect is something that's been given to us? In what ways do you think the shame voice within you has been created by these different aspects? Self-policing, yeah. Infiltrated every aspect of life, yeah. One of the very interesting ways as well that the colonization of the psyche also happens is through dehumanization. And I know that's like, oh, it's so big, like dehumanization, it's a lot, it's heavy, but it starts small. It starts with telling ourselves that we're bad if we feel a certain way, or we're bad if we express a certain way, or we're bad if we exist in a certain way. It starts with this feeling of there's something inherently bad about me because I want to express this thing. Yes, aka we were born sinners, right? We're bad. And so there must be something that we're striving towards to be better, because who we naturally are is primitive. Underneath the word bad is wrong. Underneath wrong is unevolved. Underneath unevolved is primitive. And so when we are constantly striving towards new age concepts of love and light and acceptance, and nothing triggers me anymore, and all these things. Oh my goodness. It's so great. We're going to move towards the light. We're moving towards purity. We're moving away from the natural things that come up for us. We're moving away from actually being with our emotions. We're moving away from actually feeling what is in this body. You cannot regulate the nervous system. You cannot come back home to this body until you accept all responses from this body as valid. And still, until you begin to understand that all these different aspects of you, they're not pathology, they're not wrong. We give ourselves space to feel to the extent that we possibly can feel. Heart medicine, anahata medicine is not about loving everything that is so love, and love is great, and love, love, love. No, 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 no. It's extending acceptance to everything that is not love within ourselves as well. I said this before, but I'll say it again. The heart chakra, the anahata, people really water it down by saying it's all about love. But the anahata is about the word and. It's about expanding our capacity for feeling. It's not about trying to redeem or try to love all these. It's allowing ourselves to simply exist in all the contradictions. It's allowing ourselves to exist within paradox. And you guys who were in Ogun energy, you guys know this, but Ogun in Ifa is one of my, I've learned so much from Ogun, But he simultaneously is known as this ferocious warrior, this fearless warrior, this energy that is many times seen as bloodthirsty. But also Ogun represents evolution, technology, right? And so this contradiction, how can this bloodthirsty warrior exist at the same time that, he's responsible for our ability as a society to move forward? It's because in that space of the anahata, we actually allow ourselves to explore and be with all the different aspects of ourselves. And the anahata, or Ogun rather, rules our circulatory system. The center of our circulatory system is the heart. And so it's about existing within contradiction. It's about seeing shame as the foreign object that's been implanted, no longer allowing it to dictate how we express ourselves, having a different relationship with our shame, knowing that, yes, it may take some time for us to begin to move without listening in. Okay, what does that shame say? What does that shame say over and over again, right? It may take some time to unlearn this, but the unlearning process begins when we see it as the implant that it is. And then after we see it as the implant that it is, we begin to expand our heart space to accept all contradictions within ourselves. The goal is not healing or whatever the case is. The goal is to return back to the self in whatever way that looks like for you. So, one more aspect of reflection here, and we're going to go into one more exercise, and then of course I'll take any questions you guys have about Genesis or the work that we're going to be doing. But I want to ask you, when does self-doubt come up the most often for you? Is there anything that comes up, or is anything that you're doing in your regular life where self-doubt really comes up for you? Where does self-doubt come up the most for you? Motherhood, relationships, interesting. When I'm about to speak in a group, be creative as a creative. When creating, taking action, money, when singing. When I think about writing my book. This is so interesting, guys. And guys, please forgive me because I am fighting with the sun right now. This is so interesting, right? Because on one hand, well, on what we're looking at right now, self-doubt is coming up in all the areas that feel aligned with us. Self-doubt is coming up. You guys are speaking about when I'm writing, when I'm creating, when I'm walking in my purpose, when I'm marketing my gifts, all these things. It's coming up when we are walking or attempting to walk our destiny path, right? And so when we look at Ifa's perspective of shadow work, we're looking at shadow work as a ritual, not a metaphorical ritual, but an entire embodied ritual. And so some of the foundations of Ifa are going to be divination as the way that we communicate with the divine, as well as how we communicate with the Ori. But then one of the other foundations of Ifa is the Ebo, the sacrifice. And here, sometimes a sacrifice is doing what we know we need to do, moving forward with things even if they feel uncomfortable, and moving in alignment with gentle character. And so when we think about Ifa's perspective of shadow work, what we're also looking at as well is restoring our relationship with our own Ori. And you guys may have heard from New Age spirituality, your purpose is just to exist. This is, if you want to believe that, you can. But in Ifa, we believe that everyone came here with a specific purpose. Everyone came here with a specific thing that we are all meant to do. And when we ignore that purpose, that's when the shadow comes up. When we ignore what our Ori, our higher self, our personal deity is trying to tell us, that's when the shadow comes up. And so shadow work from the African indigenous perspective is realignment with the deity that lives within. Realignment with what feels the most natural to us. Realignment with our destiny. Realignment with the things that we know we came here to do. And the anxiety and the self-doubt that may come up, all of that is the undoing of the conditioning that we have to be a certain way in society, the undoing of the conditioning that our purpose has to look a certain way or has to be a certain way. And if we all were to listen to this destiny, to what our Ori is telling us, if we all were to shift into the space of gentle character and alignment, the things that we feel wouldn't be so loud, because we're actually shifting into a space of complete peace. And our Ori is the only one who's in charge of knowing what that looks like for us. And so divination to reveal the truth is number one. Number two, the Ebo to restore balance. How many times the Ebo is doing something that we don't want to do, tackling the uncomfortable, noticing that when anxiety comes up, I'm going to sacrifice this on the altar as part of the Ebo. When the self-doubt comes up, I'm going to sacrifice this on the altar as part of the Ebo, right? Noticing in all the ways that we fight against ourselves and fight against our Ori. Knowing that the Ori moves gently. Iwapuele, gentle character, also translates we come to meet the earth. But nature moves slowly at every season. It doesn't rush itself. And so one of the ways that we align with our Ori is by slowing down and listening. Understanding that maybe the Ebo is sacrificing a little 10 minutes out the day for you to be in silence. And so matching our behavior with our intention is part of the Ebo as well. And one of the last aspects of how Ifa views shadow work is through community accountability. And this is what sustains change. Not doing shadow work and then sitting by yourself and then telling yourself that everyone's out to get you, and this paranoia that we see so much on social media, right? But more so understanding that walking in our alignment within our purpose, walking in our destiny path, this is exactly what allows us to meet the people who we're meant to be in community with, and then allowing them to help us with our own accountability, making sure that our behaviors, our intentions match and are in alignment with what we say we're doing, what we say we want. And so the question here is, I want you to ask yourself, is what ways am I ignoring what I know I came here to do? In what ways may I be ignoring what I know I came here to do? And why? You can feel free to answer in the chat. You can feel free to just write it down. How am I ignoring what I know I've come here to do, and why? How can I slow down and move gently towards it? Not trusting my gut out of fear. Yeah, procrastination because of fear. Yeah. And just noticing what comes up here. Build a physical, real life community of people. I don't know the details, but I feel this. Out of fear. And again, just noticing too, why do we choose to ignore this thing that we know we are meant to do? Telling myself it can't be done. And then noticing too, all these things that are coming up for you guys, noticing too, these different aspects of how are these only perpetuating internalized inferiority? How are these only perpetuating disconnection from the body, fragmentation of identity, suppression, conditioning of shame? These feelings were not created by you. A lot of these feelings were given to you. These feelings were not created by you. These feelings were given to you. Afraid of too much responsibility, requiring me to change the entire world. Yes. Feelings that could be misunderstood. And can we name, is there anything here that feels like internalized inferiority? Is there anything here that feels like disconnection from the body? Is there anything here that feels like that? Beautiful shares here, guys. Not feeling grounded in my own personal knowing, feeling as though I need citations. This is again internalized inferiority, shame conditioning, afraid of being polarizing or audacious publicly. I feel like it would be weird to deeply trust myself. Yeah. All these things come up. Notice what different aspects of psychological colonization are the root of these fears. What different aspects of psychological colonization are the root of these fears? When you stop overburdening yourself with, I feel like this and I da-da-da, and and I'm the reason why I feel like this, and my lack of knowledge is the reason why I feel like this, and my this and my that. All of these are the different ways that colonization acts within us. Right? So just noticing that. Noticing how even these fears are implanted. Noticing that all of these different things that really inflate the fear, they're implanted. Internalized inferiority is seeing ourselves from the colonial gaze. Fear of not being good enough is seeing ourselves from the colonial gaze. Fear of being wrong or bad or too much is seeing ourselves through the colonial gaze. There is no perfect way to move through your destiny path. But all these different ways that we try to make ourselves small or try to convince ourselves we're too small to do certain things these are all the ways that we internalize colonial programming. And the more that we see these things, these feelings as outside of our own inception, we did not create this, we're eating this from the subliminal programming, from all these different things, the more we can hand back over responsibility, because it was never yours to begin with. The fears of never being good enough were implanted in you. The fears of being too much were planted in you. Even this idea, fear of taking the wrong path, this was implanted in you. And so we can excavate memories all day. And yeah, we'll do some of that work of clearing the aura in Genesis, but we can excavate all those memories all day. But at the end of the day, if we still see ourselves as the reason why these things happen, as the reason why we still hold on to these feelings, then we're only perpetuating self-resentment. When we see how these different aspects of our own shadow have been carefully curated by the system that we live in, then we no longer overload ourselves with the responsibility of blaming ourselves for even feeling them. Right? But just taking a moment and just letting that sink in, sit in. And now that we're shifting into one of our last exercises today, I want to ask, what are you claiming right now? What are you claiming right now? And it could be small or big. What are you claiming right now? Presence, observation, freedom, pleasure, myself, claiming my power, everything that you're claiming right now, everything that you feel is in between you and that thing is a facade. Our belief in the facade is the only thing that makes it real. Our belief in the facade is the only thing that keeps us away from the thing that we are claiming. These fears have been implanted. The shame has been implanted. This is how this entire system wants us to feel. Because if you were to move towards your purpose, if you were to walk in alignment with your Ori, that would require you to step out of this system and bring balance back into your community. That would require you to step out of this system and to fully express yourself, not just for yourself, but also for everyone else who may not feel like they have a voice right now. It would disrupt the status quo. It wouldn't make sense. And so all these different things are trying to pull us away from the truth that's already here. All of these different things are trying to pull us away from restoring balance into our own communities. Take a deep breath in and release. What is the sacrifice? What is the ebo? What is the sacrifice? Maybe your sacrifice is moving slowly towards your desire, moving in small ways every day. What does it look like for you? Put that sacrifice in the comments. And we'll do one more exercise before we close out. It's been such a beautiful class, you guys. What is the ebo? E-B-O. Sacrifice avoidance. And as you sacrifice avoidance and as you sacrifice and move towards the thing that you've been avoiding, all the feelings that are coming up, they have been implanted. All these feelings that have come up have been carefully curated. All these feelings that are coming up, I've been conditioned to feel them. Sacrificing discomfort, to take more technology fast. Sacrifice procrastination, excuse to hide my fear. One of the simplest rituals you can do is write down the things that are in between you and your desire and burn them in a fireproof pot. For you guys who have been with me for a minute, you remember the sacred moon circles? We used to be burning. People used to be setting off them damn fire alarms. I'm surprised, I'm happy that everybody has made it through, okay? Everyone is still alive. Houses are intact. We used to do that every full moon on Patreon. Years and years and years ago. But that's one of the simplest rituals. What are we sacrificing? What is the ebo? The quickest ritual for changing your reality is aligning your behavior and your thoughts with what you say you want. Sacrificing self-doubt, exactly. And so I want us to all put our typing fingers down for just one moment. I want you to just settle into your body for a second and just notice what you notice. Take a deep breath in. Release. Notice how your body feels. Maybe begin to close the eyes. Don't try to change it. Just notice how your body feels. For some of us, we may feel like right now the shame may still be holding on, may still have a hand on our abdomen or our shoulder, trying to hold on to us. And just see it in your mind's eye. See the shame. See all the ways that it still tries to hold on to you. Now I want you to start to rub your hands together one more time. We're rubbing the hands together, and now we're taking the fists and we're just beginning to do this. Kind of like two molecules of water being heated up. Beginning to move the fists together and maybe even starting to clench the body. Get really tight, get really tense. Take a moment and just, this is how it feels to be tense. This is how it feels to hold on and release. Allow your hands to fall to your knees. Deep breath in. Release. A couple more times here. We're taking the hands and we're moving them together. Shaking the fists, tensing the body, maybe even tensing all the muscles that we can, tensing the arms, tensing the shoulders up, moving everything together. And release. Letting go. One more time. We're going in and we're tensing in the hands, tensing up the body, tensing up everything that we can, almost vibrating the body, and let it go. One last time. Close the eyes and take a deep breath in. Release everything. Let it all go. Let this connection between you and this implant to let it go. Let this connection between you and judging your own emotions, let it go. Let this connection between you and powers that try to control you, try to dictate how you feel about yourself, let it go. See these things as foreign. See these things as separate from you. See these things as internalized violence, but you did not create them. Deep breath in. Lion's breath out. 3 more times. Deep breath in. Lion's breath out. In. As loud as you can. In. Last one. Make this one the loudest one you possibly can. In. Stretch out the neck. Look around the room. Shaking off anything else that needs to be shaken off. Maybe swiping things off the shoulders, clearing the aura. Repeat after me. My purpose is incredible. I decide to walk in alignment with my purpose now. I decide to reunite with all aspects of myself now. Shame is an implant. Fear is an implant. I sacrifice these things for my internal reunion. I choose to remember now. I choose to remember now. I choose to remember now. Ashe, deep breath in. Release. These are all the ways that the shadow self, which we all have grown to take so much responsibility for, these are all the different ways that this shadow self has literally been implanted within our own being, within our nervous system. All the different ways that colonization has been implanted within our own psyche. All the different ways in which we police ourselves. And so we begin the process of decolonizing our own shadow work journey by seeing the responsibility as something not within ourselves, but something that this system has created. Seeing the responsibility as something outside of ourselves. Our responsibility is to return back to ourselves. Our responsibility is for this inner reunion within ourselves. But our responsibility is not to continue to blame ourselves for the shame or the fear or the self-doubt that has been carefully curated by the powers that lie externally. We can take back our power now by absolving this burden of responsibility. We have to go in, we have to do this. Yes, we return back to our bodies, but we also return back the blame, not to ourselves, but instead to the system outside of ourselves that tries to limit our own expression and our own beingness. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. You guys know that we go deep into the 7 chakras, the 7 deadly sins, all of this deep somatic and body work and nervous system reprogramming work in Genesis, which starts in 9 days. And if you guys have any questions, I'll stay back for a few moments, but I love you all and thank you, thank you, thank you. I will hopefully see you in Genesis. Ashe, everyone. Beautiful, thank you. Now feel free, if you have any questions about Genesis or about any of the work that we did, you can feel free to ask me in the chat now. Here we go. There you go. Is it okay? I want to go run and tell this to everyone I love. Ashe, see you all in Genesis. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful work, guys. The replay will be available Can you specifically speak to Genesis and specifically to Tier 2? Yes, I can. So for anyone who is interested in teaching somatic work, teaching subconscious reprogramming work, teaching a decolonized version of understanding the chakras, as well as teaching folks how to reunite with this true version of ourselves, Tier 2 is going to be for you. Tier 2 is the teacher training. It's the training specifically to be able to take on any client with any issue, because the 7 core traumas, all trauma can be traced back to the 7 core traumas, and knowing how to identify them, knowing how to guide clients into release and reunion, that's what we're going to be doing in Genesis. So not only will you be able to actually take a teacher training where I'm going to be taking live case studies and live calls, or live case studies within the call, but right before that integration call with the actual training, there's also a call in regards to stepping deeper into your purpose in regards to your business. How each one of these chakra blocks may be distorting your relationship with your expression, your abundance, your purpose, how these different chakra blocks also can be released to step into a new level of your business and your purpose. So for example, there's just so many baseline things that we experience within each block. For example, the fight or flight response exists within the Muladhara and the root chakra. And after we've healed that within the body, there's also another level, right? Because these chakras are portals. They're not just one center and one problem, and then we go to the next one. We cycle through them throughout our entire lives. And so when we choose to say yes to our Ori, when we choose to say yes to our purpose, there's going to be a different level that each one of these chakras bring through, a different challenge, right? And so the different challenge, or the higher challenge of the Muladhara, is believing that your purpose actually deserves to exist and deserves to be expressed in whatever state of the world that we are in. So many times a lot of people think that, oh, my creative ability or my purpose or whatever the case is, oh, people don't want to invest in that, or people don't want to see that, or people, whatever the case is. That's another block of the Muladhara, because in the Muladhara, we learn to take up space. And when we finish being able to actually take up space within our bodies, it comes up a little bit higher. When we step into business, we learn to take up space within our own gifts, right? So that's just one of the examples. So in the Tier 2, there's going to be extra classes. So not just the live integration calls that's going to allow you to move through each one of these chakra blocks with your clients and be able to tackle these issues, but there's also a business coaching call before that one on the days that we meet for class. So we're going to be going through this from a teacher perspective, from a business perspective, and be able to clear certain blocks when it comes to your abundance, your purpose, and your business. So those are the differences. Tier 1 is just doing the work on yourself. Tier 2 is doing the work on yourself and learning how to do it on your clients and getting to do to different levels within your own business. And there'll actually be extra coaching calls that I'm going to give Tier 2 as well. Will you be able to do the whole course Genesis Tier 2, including a one-on-one session if we do it through the Isefa school? Yes. Yes. So you can definitely do Genesis through the Oasis school, right? But the only caveat with that is that you'll be renting the course, right? So you, as long as you're in the Oasis school, you'll be able to have access to any one of my courses. However, if you actually buy Genesis outright, then you have it forever. But if you come to the Oasis school and just get it through the Oasis school, you only have it for as long as you're in the school. So some people, I've had so many questions via email. Some people want to buy it outright so they could have it for life and be able to reference it and come back to it, from the business coaching calls to the actual teacher training calls. And some people say, hey, I just want to come in school for maybe like a year or whatever the case is, and then go on about my merry way. So you will be able to access it through the Oasis school, but only renting it. Is it capped at a number of participants? So the teacher training is going to be capped at a number of participants because it's a lot more intensive and we meet a lot more. Honestly, the number is something that I'm going to come to with my Ori, but I'm definitely not just going to allow an unlimited number. So I can let you guys know that number probably within the next week, but definitely can't take 10 million people for the teacher training because it's very intensive. Do we get certified when we finish tier two? Yes. So this technically the entire process of the Genesis teacher training, you will get certified through the Oasis School in these different methods and be able to teach them to your clients as well as do them on yourself. What if we don't have any certification to do any of these things? So I want you to expand a little bit on that question. What if you don't have any certification to do any of these things? So the teacher training is going to give you that certification of the knowledge and the practice that you need to be able to facilitate these things with your clients. But what is there something else that you mean by that? Do you need to practice Ifa to learn? I love this question. No, you don't have to practice Ifa to learn. All of my work is all inclusive. Yes, I practice Ifa. Yes, I love Ifa. Yes, Ifa is my one love, but I'm not going to teach anything that is part of the closed practice of Ifa. But there are obviously some things that I can talk about, right? The Ori, the connection with your higher self, the meditation aspect, the personal character development aspect, right? The gentle character aspect. Those are things that we can talk about, but you don't have to be in Ifa to join this space. I just am in Ifa and I love Ifa. You guys know that. Does Oasis Access mean live calls too? Yes, ma'am. Do you need anything prior for the teacher training? No. So this is the thing, right? Thank you so much for these questions, you guys. So to answer the question, do you need prior experience for the teacher training? No, you don't need prior experience for the teacher training. I want both, and wondering if you should go through Genesis for yourself in the teacher training. So tier 2 has everything that tier 1 has, all of the rituals, all the meditations. You guys could also just go on my website and see all the reviews from everyone who did it last year, who really loved it. I love Genesis so much. I love teaching this. But so you can see we do so many rituals and so many different things, and all of that is already recorded for you. And then in tier 1, what you guys get is we meet once a week to be able to move through these techniques together. Now in tier 2, you get all of that, and you get things from another perspective of the teacher training perspective as well, right? So you get those extra business coaching calls where we go through each one of the chakras, and you also get extra calls for support and feedback from me. You don't need any prior experience. If you're someone who wants to start a business, or maybe you're already in your business, then tier 1 or tier 2 is going to be for you, right? So if you're like, I want to step into my healing business, I want to really provide, a safe space to be able to guide people through this information, and I want to be able to know how to actually do it and not just, kind of flail or whatever we tend to do when we first start things, then Genesis tier 2 is going to be for you. If you're just starting, or if you want to supplement what you already know, it's a lot of information, which is why we have a 2-week break in between the lower chakras and the higher chakras. So you don't need any particular certification. You get everything with tier 2. What day are the live trainings held on Mondays? Weekly class on Monday. I love that you guys have this question. So really quickly, I'm going to go through it. The schedule is already on my website. Everything will be recorded. Don't worry about that. But we're going to do the first 3 chakras, and then I will be in Nigeria for a couple weeks, and also give you guys a chance to integrate all this information, okay? Because the lower 3 chakras are the chakras where it is the most jam-packed with techniques, with information, with all these different things that we do to really unlock and release the survival programs that live within the nervous system. And then when I come back, we'll do the higher chakras, which will be a perfect alignment. So you guys will have time to integrate all this information. We'll have class every Monday, then we have a 2-week break, and then we'll come back and finish off everything. But you're going to want to have that break anyway, because it's a lot of information at once, okay? So in tier 2, there will be 4 hours weekly of class. So the exact time is it really just depends. It really depends. I give about an hour. I would say give about an hour for our business call for the people who want to do tier 2. Give about an hour for the business call. We'll have a break, right? So like an hour or maybe even an hour 30. And then we'll go into the integration call where we come together, everyone from tier 1 and tier 2. So we will have a break. And I really cannot say how long the classes will be, which is why I record them. Last year when I taught Genesis, child, them classes was going on for 4 hours, like, because we were going through so much information. You'll have that recording as well. So I wanna also go back a little bit. You have the recording from all the classes from last year. You go through that on your own time. But then we go into an integration call where we're actually moving through these techniques together on a live call every Monday. And then for those of you guys who are signing up for the teacher training, that'll be a live call right before the integration call. So expect about, at minimum, 2 hours of class on the Mondays, maybe a little bit more depending on what comes up. And of course, for the teacher training, you'll have extra community calls where I give feedback. We do a whole bunch of things. I love to help with marketing, sales pages, website building, all that kind of stuff. That's also another love of mine. But we also do this from, is this space embodied? Does this website feel like begging, or does it feel like I am stepping into my purpose? Where are the energy leaks with that? So we go through that in the extra calls that we also do in tier 2. When you say through the Oasis School, we are working on the accreditation. That answered my question. Beautiful. Will there be an opportunity in tier 1 to get advice via? Yes. So in tier 1, we do case studies. So we're going to call someone from the audience who wants to come up. No pressure, of course. And in tier 1, those integration calls will have case studies, and you'll also have plenty of time to answer questions at the end of each call as well. So yes, and also if you guys don't know, I always do a Q&A in my group chat. So everybody from tier 1 and tier 2 will all be in a group chat as well. And there's a couple different sections of the group chat. One of the sections of the group chat is going to be a Q&A section where I'm always on it every day, checking and seeing if you guys have any questions as well. So you'll have chances to answer or ask questions at the end of our integration calls as well as in the group chat. Will you offer tier 1 again, and when? Genesis is typically something we do around the winter solstice. The next time I'll offer it will be next year. I'm going to also say this, I am not sure though, because with everything going on within my personal spiritual development, even the curriculum for the Oasis School is going to be completely different next year. And child, it's going to be a lot different when I get back from Nigeria at the end of January. So there might be a lot of things that change. So I want to say yes, I'll do it again at the end of next year, but my Ori may say different. So I can't say if it's going to happen again. I could only say I do whatever my Ori tells me to do, right? Ashe. Oh, awesome. So happy to have you, my love. So happy to have you. Love from Togo. Yes. All right, my loves, you guys have any more questions? Oh, I love this question. Is the Ori within or someone outside of you? It is within. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a fun way of understanding this, right? Put a raised hand in the chat if you guys have played Sims. My partner is getting me into Sims right now. Put a raised hand in the chat if you guys have played Sims, right? You guys maybe have played Sims in the past. We can kind of see, okay, Rosemarika, I love that. We can kind of see our Ori and our physical self as kind of like the Sim versus player relationship. So the Ori is our personal deity. The Ori is the aspect of our soul that has reincarnated into the physical body. But if you guys have heard my classes before, then you know that the soul is not within. Our body is contained within the soul. The soul is not here. Our body is within the soul. And so that means that our actual being is so expansive. If you guys have read Black Moon, then you guys know that there are 7 subtle bodies. Subtle bodies as in different bodies within our own being that exists beyond the physical realm. The Ori is the connection between all of those subtle bodies and Orun and heaven, right? And so our Ori is constantly and consistently communicating with us to take us towards our path of alignment. to take us towards our path of our destiny. Our Ori is technically, when you're playing Sims and you're putting a different thing in queue, your Ori is like, okay, we're doing this now, we're doing that now. Now the Sim can get autonomy, okay, and get off the get off the path. But your Ori is always trying to push you back into alignment, always trying to realign you, right? And so in the same way, when we get so obsessed with the things that are happening in our lives, right? Not to say that we can't feel sad or whatever the case is, but sometimes we allow that to really cloud our minds, really cloud our perception of reality. But the Ori knows that a new relationship is in queue. The Ori knows that money, even, ire, blessings, awo, is in queue. The Ori knows all the different things that are happening. Why? Because the Ori exists beyond past, present, and future. It exists beyond space-time. And so in my practice of Ifa, we do so many different things to not just connect with our Ori. We do a lot of rituals to also align with our Ori. Very easy ritual is taking a shower, okay? Making sure that water hits your head, right? Water, omitutu, is cleansing. It's extremely cleansing. It brings clarity. It brings calmness. Right? Doing this with intention is a very simple way you can connect with your Ori. Even taking some water, we speak into the water, you put that water on your head. That's another way to really connect in with your prayers, with your Ori. Your Ori is your inner deity, your head, right? And so the Ori is the higher self that we are existing within, because the Ori connects all the 7 subtle bodies. So without going too deep into it, but it's, if you can think about it kind of like Sims, right? But in that same way, we can also think about Sims as a beautiful metaphor for life in general, right? Because we get so frustrated and so obsessed with the problems that are in front of us, but what my Iya says, no problem lasts forever. No hardship lasts forever. There's always something else in queue. And so can we exist in that space of relief instead of existing within that space of obsession? And one of the ways that we exist within that space of relief is through connecting with the Ori. Of course, meditating in silence, listening, writing down your dreams. Morning pages is such a beautiful, beautiful practice as well, to get out all the things that have come up and taking note of everything that your dreams and your random thoughts are also telling you. I want to give y'all a Harry Potter reference, but I'm not going to do that to y'all because we'll be here forever. Do you work with an Orisha? I work with all Orishas. We all work with all Orishas because Orishas exist within us. Am I a priestess yet? No, not as yet. All right. Is there any more questions? Let's see. Is the certification obtained by only attending classes, or will there be some tests or practice? Ooh, I love this question. The certification will be obtained by completing the entire course, by actually engaging with the course, with actually taking the classes. You don't need to be live there, but you need to actually take the classes. For you guys who are teachers yourselves, you can have 100 people sign up and only 40 people do the actual course, right? So actually completing these things, being engaged with us in the group chat or, in the actual live calls, that's where the certification is going to be obtained. Okay. I love the idea of tests, though. I think that definitely we could incorporate that. But yes, I'm going to pause here. Are there any more questions? Ashe, thank you, guys. I'm going to leave you guys with one Harry Potter reference because I have to. If you guys remember in the Half-Blood Prince and just to give you reference, my partner and I watch Harry Potter, the whole series, at least once a week, okay? We love Harry Potter in this house, okay? When Harry Potter took Felix Felicis, right, the liquid luck, or whatever it's called, in the Half-Blood Prince, and they had a whole plan. They had a whole plan of how they were going to get Slughorn to give away the memories. Okay? But as soon as he took the liquid luck, he was like, no, I feel like doing something else. I feel like I should be here. That's exactly how our Ori guides us as well. Our mind creates absolutely nothing. But the thing here is, in this physical reality, because the mind is physically here, we think that we should listen to the mind always. Okay, I should go with this path, this step by step by step by step, right? But at the end of the day, Your Ori exists outside. The mind exists within the Ori, but the Ori exists in a higher state of mind. The Ori exists in a higher state of consciousness. And so the same way that we think that we have to follow things step by step and do all the perfect things, it may not be the path that's most in alignment with us. But there's nothing that stops us from communicating with our own Ori. It's only the tension and the objection that we have towards the things that feel the most in alignment with us. And so when we release that resistance and actually follow what feels good and actually follow what we don't even know why this makes sense, but I'm going to do it because it makes sense to some aspect of my being right now, that's how we step into that space of alignment. So the same way that we think we have a plan, the Ori always knows the easier way. The Ori always knows the path that's in alignment with our destiny. Ashe. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank y'all so much. This has been so fun. I love doing these live master classes. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Feel free to email us at the Oasis School, and I'll see y'all later, hopefully. See y'all in Genesis. Bye. I love you guys. Bye.